Yep. 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 Yeah. 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 That's why I actually haven't replied that yet. Yep. Mm. Yep. Sure. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Fully understand. Yep. Yes. Yep. 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 Yep.
Hi,
Okay.
everybody.
Okay. Thanks.
Good evening. We need another one more minute for one more person to join. Please just give us a few minutes. We'll be starting the session very soon. So for a start, what I'll do is I'll begin my introduction. So good day, everybody and everyone. Very warm welcome to everyone who has joined and who are in the process of joining as well. We thank you very much for your time, for joining us on this session. There's a link on the right-hand side in the chat box that you can fill up so we can know more about you. So please do fill the link up so that we can understand you better. Now, it's already been 14 months into this COVID pandemic in Malaysia, and all of us from various walks of lives have suffered in a variety of ways. Families have been disrupted, shut down, and children's usual way of growing up have also drastically changed. From birth to death, all kinds of social situations and protocols in between have all had changes, and SOPs as we have become there too. True sense of being human, we have overcome this adversity, committed human beings and scientific inventions and discoveries. So today we welcome you to our Shycocan webinar, where we have a panel of distinguished speakers who will share with us how we can overcome this pandemic and get back to near normal lifestyles in the near future. We have with us 5 respected speakers with us today who will outline possible routes to us achieving near normal lifestyles. Uh, First up, we have Dato Dr. Professor Subramaniam. He's coming soon, so if you could just bear with us to give him a few minutes, we will start the session shortly. Okay, so while waiting for Dato Dr. Subra, who is the current president of MMA, we will start with Dato Dr. Teo Siang Chin, who is the past president of MMA. He's going to enlighten us on the mental health aspects of COVID. Dato, are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear, Doctor.
Also, I'll be
So
more
you can
ready if Satya can get the slides on, share the screen from there.
okay, we'll get
Okay.
your screen shared.
Okay. I will talk today about how to cope with the new normal from the perspective of mental health. Cabin fever. I think this is relevant if you want to enable a safe workplace and even at home, because the recognition and the understanding of this issue, I think, is not widespread and perhaps should get greater coverage uh, that so that all of us, because all of us will have to face these issues. I speak from experience because I was about 2 years in a mental health institution, not as an inmate, but as a director of the hospital, thank goodness. So, and I think that mental health has not been recognized so well as we see somatic illnesses and people with physical disabilities. So, next slide, please. Cabin fever. Cabin fever, actually, it's a popular term for a relatively common reaction to being isolated or being confined for an extended period of time. It is not a specific diagnosis, but rather a constellation of symptoms which can occur under the circumstances. Actually, originally it was described in happier times when people or friends or families would book exotic cabins in ski resorts on deserted islands for dive expeditions with the intention of having a good fun time. But as time goes on and the close proximity of people you're not used to living with grates on you, this becomes frictions occur. Just for example, sharing a toilet. If 10 people have to share 3 toilets and the toilet is not left as it should be in their own homes, there'll be some issues of this. So these frictions do accumulate, and then they bring this living with relative strangers brings about psychological stresses. Okay, it okay. I think I've got this sound check, sound check. Okay, okay. If I seem to have been lost on an island, can you read me now? Okay, great. So, okay, next time if I lose contact, I finish this slide. Can I go to the next slide then? So we stated that cabin fever is a state of mind when a person is confined to their homes and unable to have social interaction. It may involve feelings of restlessness, irritability, or loneliness, and this can affect a person's quality of life or quality of work, which is what the topic is today. You know, how do you recognize that a person may be suffering these stresses which may affect his or her performance at work? Okay. So how can we manage this? People can manage cabin fever by developing a routine and finding ways to stay active and connected. Of course, first you have to recognize this, and this takes time. And people should not be so hard on themselves if they find that they are not performing or coping as well as they normally would be. People who feel that this physical isolation or social distancing having a negative effect on their mental health should seek support from a friend, family member, or mental health professional. Next, please. So recognizing, the next slide, please. What are the symptoms? How to recognize cabin fever? Not everyone who's experiencing cabin fever will have exactly the same symptoms. And many people report feeling intensely irritable or restless. Other effects experienced are decreased motivation, difficulty in waking up, food cravings. I'm sure this is very common for those who are in Malaysia. The food cravings, they start imagining all the foods they could be having and dining in. And then also they could be more sleepy than normal. They would frequently napping. And also a sense of hopelessness or helplessness. They may get irritated due to a lack of patience. They may also feel lethargic. And this can escalate to sadness or depression. And of course, difficulty concentrating. So we are aware that all this can affect a person at work and at home.
Hello? Yeah.
Yes.
What? Somebody is talking. I'm listening. Yeah, I'll come in after that.
All right. Next slide, please. So cabin fever, you're not alone. I think the first thing that you must realize, or you can help a friend or family member who has these symptoms, is to share with them that they are not alone. It's quite a common reaction and a common manifestation of this social isolation. And you are isolating to prevent the spread of coronavirus. And therefore, 7 billion people are in the same boat. Okay? So the psychologist will say, listen, you're not alone. Don't feel helpless. Perhaps the first thing you can do is you got to modify and accept your routine. Your routine cannot be the same as it were before coronavirus. All right. So as a parent or as an employee or as an employer, routines change. But you have to accept this, and you have to first realize this and accept this. Okay. So how then can you sort of adapt to this? You have to do certain modifications to your routine. All right. So exercise, exposure to daylight. If you can leave the house at all, these are all released from the confinement of quarantine. Next slide, please. I think the first thing you have to do is look inwards and look at personal development. The isolation imposed by quarantine frequently leaves people feeling that they have no control over the situation. They feel cut off from the rest of the world and are unable to perform their usual duties. As the schools close, as workers have to telecommute, work from home, and social events are not allowed, the whole pressure of this social isolation creeps. And when combined with other family members, the sense of isolation and cabin fever can be powerful. The Psychological Association of the Americas reports that this isolation causes a number of health risks. So as we mentioned earlier, we won't go again the various symptoms of it. Next slide, please. How do you cope? How can we cope? Besides looking inwards and personal development, one of the skills that you need for the new normal is computing. You have to do work from home. You have to react with people over the computer. This may not be everyday issue, problem for people who have been used to computers, but for many, the older or the younger people who have only been using the computer for games and other things, you have to learn or relearn what communication through the computer is. It's a bit isolated, but there are many social media that you can work with. Next, please. So beyond, now that you have adapted and you have the basic computing skills, look at what can you do that is new. Novelty is opposite of boredom. Try something original. You have a lot of time on your hands now, or look at things that you do in fresh, new ways. Music, for example, the guitar, the piano, or just listening passively. So time has a different meaning once you don't have the office routine. Next, please. I think the most important is health. You have to eat, exercise, and get appropriate rest. Eat nutritious meals. Sweets and desserts are there, but these are really quite addictive. Sugar is addictive. So please understand that you choose the right foods. And it's important for exercise. People who used to play tennis, play golf, they're now stuck at home. And perhaps you have to do home exercises, ground exercises, calisthenics, yoga, these are important things to keep active and have exercise. And of course, if you're at home, it's like being in the Arctic during summertime, everything is dark. It's artificial. You can have light or you can not have light. So please get a routine, go to bed at regular times and, sort of work out your own routine. Next. Other things beyond internal, if there is some measure of release of the lockdown, indulge your family. If you can do a picnic in your home or in your backyard, please do that. Have people contribute towards the activity and share that social happening. Learn a new skill. Learn Mandarin. It's going to be the language of the 22nd century. Okay? Try baking. Try things that you have not done before. Everything is available on YouTube. The best teacher during the lockdown is YouTube. Just get onto YouTube. You can get everything there. All right. We mentioned this before, connecting. Connecting is very, you need to connect with people. No man is an island. So as I said, you have to connect using the new ways of the computer or social connections. Next. I'm just stressing this point about healthy eating because it's very, very easy to open the fridge and pick up sweets, carbohydrates, desserts. So please maintain normal eating patterns. Choose good food. It's very easy. I see my friends' children now. McDonald's, pizza. That's the easiest. But that's not necessarily the best food for you or even growing children, all right? So please get the right foods and drink plenty of water. Next. Another thing that will perhaps help us through this difficult period is to set goals. So, like I said, time has a different meaning when you're stuck at home. So set goals, set daily, weekly goals, track your progress towards completion. If you're learning Mandarin, can you now speak more than 20 words? Can you understand more than 20 words? Okay, and consider these milestones. Next, please. I think the playground of people in isolation, is your brain. Your brain, indulge your brain. It's very easy, just like indulging in junk food and sweets and carbohydrates and chips and all that, to just watch television. Television is a distraction. It's very passive, but it's also relatively mindless and addictive. Look at other ways. Bridge, contract bridge, crossword puzzles, play board games. Keep your mind stimulated. Okay, look online for websites, games, and apps that can keep you engaged while challenging your mind. Next, please. Okay, coming to the end of the talk now. Beyond what you can do, I'm going to talk about what you call a vaccine visa. As more and more people get vaccinated, they're talking of traveling green channels and that. So, but you can start this within your domestic and family, close family friends, social bubbles. So this could be a group of friends who agree to limit their in-person social interactions and only visit each other. It's like faithfulness in the marriage, okay? Except now the marriage is expanded beyond the couple thing and you go into the family and close friends sort of thing. So they call this quadra team. So like quarantine, you can actually know that these people have not been exposed to people of unknown status, and establishing a social bubble is actually a small microscopic way of how the world will develop when we work on how to travel between countries in these green lanes. So it's important that we learn to interact and to maintain that security of not being exposed to virus among people who agreed to do so. I won't go into this social bubble because it's too long. So just to summarize, last slide, please. Slide number 16. Next, beyond that, one that says summary. Next, we won't go into that. Next slide. Okay, summary. So in summary, we all know, despite the promise of the vaccine, it is here, COVID is here for at least the medium term. I would think personally, the end of 2022, before we can come something close to pre-COVID, the ease of traveling and that. And even then, we are not sure. So we have to treat the earth and our environment with the greatest respect and stop abusing and polluting. We have to move, perhaps, towards a more plant-based diet that will be healthy and conserve natural resources. And our physical and mental health must be utmost in our daily routine. And we must keep our environment clean and sanitized, keep social distancing, and wear a mask. Thank you very much. That's it.
Thank you, Doctor, for the valuable insight. Thank you very much. I'm sure everybody enjoyed that session from you. Next up, we have Dr. Professor Subramaniam, who is the current president of MME, to give us a short introduction as well. Dato, are you ready?
Okay. Ken.
Okay, go ahead, Doctor.
Yeah, okay. Just 1 minute. Good evening or good afternoon, all of you. Thank you all. Thanks for inviting me to say a few words. Now, as I just heard the talk, I think it was very interesting to me how the COVID has been affecting people in this country or all over the world, and what action can be taken to do better than what we are at the moment. So with that, I would like to say this is a fairly good I think that is introduction of a new product that I read was sent to me by Shycocan, and this one is actually something. It is said that it will help to control the coronavirus inside, in the building, outside the building, and anywhere. The more we read about corona, the more the extent it spreads, and so on and so forth. And I really think this is actually a difficult thing, and it's a good thing if they can discover. In fact, this particular is, I'm not a promoter of this thing, I must tell you that. I have no interest in any of the products. I have no experience, but reading from this thing, I realize there is some hope maybe, and I will be very grateful if you all will pay attention and then discuss all these questions and answers with the people who are presenting to you.
Thank
And
you. Can I bother you for a while? What time you going back?
I'd like to welcome you all, and I wish you all a very good meeting. Thank you very much.
I hope the talk wasn't too boring. Also.
No, it's great.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for that, Dato. Thank you for the very quick and very prompt introduction from your side. Okay, so now to get on with this event, okay, the most important person we'll call upon right now is Dr. Kumar, Dr. Vijay Kumar, Dr. Rajah Vijay Kumar. He's the pioneering researcher and opinion leader in the field of biophysics, radiobiology, nanotechnology, and many more fields. He has more than 32 inventions and patents to his credit. He's the inventor of Cytotron, a break.
The people that are around.
Okay.
Hi, am I audible?
You're audible, yes. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so Dr. Kumar is a humanitarian first who champions innovation in science for making our world safer and our lives exponentially better. So, Dr. Kumar, if you're ready, we are ready for you as well. Over to you, Doctor.
Good morning and good afternoon there. It's a great pleasure for me to be with you all this afternoon, and I would like to definitely share with you my experiences of the Shycocan, the journey as to how it all evolved and what was this one. So just a minute, we'll just share.
Your screen is not viewable yet, Doctor.
Is it? Can you see the presentation?
Yes, Ken.
Okay. Okay. So well, actually, we've been researching on various things. We are into healthcare, we are into energy, we are into water, oil and gas, in so many areas. And in 2016, we hit upon a very special superalloy, a very interesting alloy. It was for another project. It was not for this purpose. It was another project called the GNP project, which is another patent which we have. And it was for that we developed this special alloy. The interesting part of this alloy is excited, okay, in a particular geometry. It would release photons, and you can tune the excitation, and one can tune as to what kind of photons can be produced or what energy levels can be produced. Now in 2018, okay, 2018 we
Doctor, your line's a bit fuzzy. Your line is breaking.
Close the.
We just closed already. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Ken.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, but your screen is not
Can you
sharing.
hear me? Screen is not sharing.
It's not. Can you see it now?
Yes, Ken.
Okay. So after this experience of this new alloy, we made a first device that we wanted to see what was the application which we have for this. So we started working on a few things using this alloy. One of it was a device called advanced photosynthetic oxidation, which we used it in wastewater recovery. It was again a same alloy which we used it there, and this is for getting rid of non-refractive chemical oxygen demand in wastewater. Then somebody came up with an idea that Bangalore is a flu city, and every time there's a flu season, there's a lot of our staff go on leave, and and we also have continuously going clinical trials here for different healthcare activity, and a lot of people come from outside and give us flu during the flu season. Normally in Bangalore, the flu season is when the climate changes. That is when one season to the next season goes, the interface of that, you get flu. So somebody put up a good idea from our group of microbiologists here, who said, why don't we use this to attenuate these flu viruses? So he said, how do we do it? And he said, of course, they came up with the positive sense protein and negative seeking and all these mechanisms. And so we said we will produce photons out of that would give specifically the the required energy of in an electron. So the concept of photon-mediated electron emission started off, and we made the first device in 2018, and we installed it in our office and our labs and everywhere. And we found one thing is that particular year, 2019, this was somewhere in around October, November of 2018, and the rest of the year in 2019, we did not have a flu in our office. Literally, practically zero. Then we were looking at to mitigate bird flu, because bird flu was affecting a lot of farmers. In India, many farmers go bankrupt because of the bird flu. So we went into that part, and but we continued with it, and it was already there. And in 2019, end of 2019, okay, the novel coronavirus came into the picture, and then we simply said, why don't we adopt it? Because they work in the same mechanism. Their attack mode is the same. So till then it was more or less a fun project, looking for an application for our new alloy which we have got. So it was very exciting. Then from 2019 January onwards, we started sending these to other countries, because all labs in India were full with all the other work. So we sent these to the United States because we could get somebody to test it there. So from the United States, we sent a few pieces to Mexico also. And so we could get the first set of tests done. First of all, we wanted to first test it on influenza itself. So first we tested on influenza, then the surrogate for SARS-CoV, that is Equatorian arthritis virus, which is EPA approved surrogate for SARS-CoV-2. So we did that, and we could find that the efficacy was very good. So then we are all excited about it. Now, what does the device do? The device simply attenuates the viral particle. So so safety first, and also when you are going to put something out into the market, especially something so serious in the market, we need to have all the necessary tests of safety, because we have to believe on the concept of do no harm. So we had to go through very stringent tests. We had certain requirements there. The device should not produce ozone. It should not ionize the air. It should not interfere with other electrical and electronic equipments. It should pass the electromagnetic compatibility and electromagnetic interference, and so on. So we had to go through everything, on the safety side. Then we had to go on to the efficacy. When we first went to the regulators, we went to US FDA first, because the machines were there in the United States. And then, these virology studies were taken into consideration. Then thereafter, we did a lot of other virology tests on various types of viruses of the same family. We tested it on MS2 phage. We tested it on MS2 phage, and we tested on what is that? Your avian coronavirus. We tested on KPI 175, and so we tested it on various various viruses. Okay, and then came one more question from the regulators. They said it should only work on viral particles, and it should not do anything. You should not do anything for the bacteria, or it should not do anything for the fungus. So that is the second thing, because the regulator said if it harms a bacteria or a fungus, then it will harm humans, because it's a living cell. So we had to do the bacterial and fungal study, and then prove to them that there is no effect on the bacteria or fungus. So we used the bacillus and as a bacteria, and we also later did studies on E. coli and other commonly seen bacteria. So the device now proves that it doesn't affect bacterial life or fungal life. So that means it is not going to affect the animal life or plant life. Then we had to do a couple of toxicology studies. So this was one was done on human alveolar basal epithelial cells, and then another one was done on vero cells. It was done by the University of Madras, and that was on cell derived from African green monkey. And so that also showed that there is no effect on continuous exposure to a human cell, and there is no effect on the no toxic effect on the vero cells, which was used to check that. So after this, we were quite confident that it is non-toxic, doesn't produce any ozone, doesn't ionize the air. The only thing it does is to attenuate the corona family of viruses. So Then the next thing in the journey is to see that all the regulatory confirmations are got. All regulators are accepting it. So first thing we did was, of course, US FDA, because of COVID-19 health emergency, the FDA allowed us to make it available in the United States under the enforcement discretion guidelines and during this COVID-19 public health emergency. In the meantime, they asked us to file for the 510K as a permanent approval that the device can be used even after the COVID emergency is gone. Then we went into the European side, so it is CE marked with Class 1 classification. The Australian TGA has considered this device, under excluded goods. That is at item 12, schedule 1, environmental control and detoxification equipment. Then MedSafe in New Zealand also, gave us okay to market it in their country. Then we have the Indian DGHS CDSCO, which is equivalent to the Indian FDA, so as a Class A device. And then, of course, we have the certificate of conformity under the Emirates Conformity Assessment Scheme. So that is in the UAE. And Energy Commission in Malaysia has confirmed that this product is not controlled by ST and does not require COA permit. So, we have tried and got more of the confirmed, regulatory clearances on this. So, to see how the product, this device works, first we need to understand the mechanism of attack. Mechanism of attack by a corona family virus. Now, first we have to understand that the transmembrane potential of the human cell is minus 70 millivolt at rest. Now, the receptor binding domain, receptor binding domain is the AC2 receptor, and that is on the cell membrane, and it is also at minus 70 millivolt at rest. So the virus itself has got a positive sense seeking protein on its capsid, and it is the protein that is attracted towards the ACE2 receptors, and then it binds and then infuses the RNA from the core of the viral particle. Upon entering the cell, then of course it uses the host as a photocopy machine to duplicate itself. Now, how does Shycocan work in the scene? We produce high intensity photons, of a harmless wavelength, and these photons, when they strike any solid surfaces, it emanates electrons from that surface. May it be your body, may it be your clothing, may it be tables, chairs, particles in the air, everything emits electrons, including the viral particle itself. And these electrons are in the area where you sit, or where this machine is fitted. And these electrons actually bind to the S protein of the coronavirus, thus neutralizing the attacking mechanism of the virus itself. So it is an attacking virus.
Dr. Kumar, your slides are not changing. So
Slides are not changing. I don't know what happened. No, it's not.
it's there now, Doctor.
Okay,
Presentation
is
mode?
it?
Yes.
Okay, wait a minute.
Is it changing now?
Yes, it is.
So I think you must have seen this slide.
They're not seeing this, so please check it.
Till where did you see? Till where? You have
We
seen
saw till
all
this slide. This slide, yeah, you can continue from here, no problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
So yeah, so the how the mechanism of infecting, I've already told about it, and if you look at in the slide, you will see the virus, and you see the positive sense S protein, and the action due to a powerful opposite charge, which makes the virus to get attracted to the actual binding receptor binding domain, and the mechanism in which Shycocan works.
Just check as it moves.
As a slide move.
Yes, it has.
Okay. So, so it is how the Shycocan actually disables the viruses or the viral particles. Now, initially it produces high intensity photons. Then these photons, when they strike solid surfaces or solid particles in the air, they emanate electrons. This is a principle which is normally we call it as photoelectrons. So these photoelectrons are continuously being bumped off surfaces. It may be our body, or it may be our clothing, or cable, shells, particles in the air, including the viral particle itself. And these electrons, they are short-lived though, but continuous continuous uh, continuous production of these photons also emanates continuous emission of electrons. So the area is always kept safe, and these attenuated virus will lose their mechanism of infection. So because of this mechanism, okay, you have viruses of the corona family, the influenza viruses families. They all have the same attack mechanism of having a positive sense protein on its capsid. Now, as I would like to tell you, see, Shycocan is not just it came before the SARS-CoV-2 came. It was there in us before that, and it is not going to go away anymore. I'm talking about Shycocan. As you see, we've been always having new families of these coronaviruses coming in. The human coronavirus, which first was located in 1950, it was hanging around till 2004. Then in 1995, there was again another version of human coronavirus, and then in April 2003, SARS came in. Then 2004, there was another mutated version of it. Then, in 2012, we had the MERS. Then in 2019, now we have COVID-19. And we don't know what is going to be the next and how this is going to mutate and what is going to happen next. But we have tested on various viruses which has got the same mechanism of action, and we are sure it would work for the future ones too. So this is the influenza family, the influenza A. It was in fact the famous Spanish flu, 1918, and swine flu in 2009. There, influenza A. Influenza B is another one. It is not very much into the human side, but definitely it does. Then influenza C, it is for in humans, dogs, pigs, children. Influenza C, and influenza D we have in pigs and cattle. So this is the influenza family, and how this device is going to work on this family of viruses. Thank you for your attention, and this is a very short journey. What we had, our experience with, Shycocan, as well as, the SARS-CoV-2. Corona family of viruses.
Thank you, Dr. Kumar. That was certainly very, very informative. I hope everybody also benefited from this. So, Dr. Kumar, I think you have Mr. Alok with you, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So, Mr. Alok, I would like to welcome you to the floor. Mr. Alok is the CEO of Shycocan Corp Global, and he has held various leadership positions and has been an entrepreneur for the last 3 decades. And he has served as the managing director of Apple India. He's been a part of the leadership team at Sun Microsystems at India and ASEAN, and has worked at Wipro. Since 2009, he has joined Entrepreneur and co-founded APADE Manufacturing Parks, a joint venture with the government of Andhra Pradesh. He's also co-founded Nature Eco Ventures, an incubation and project development company that focuses across industry sectors. And he's also currently a member of Indian Angel Network and has invested across sectors. So, Mr. Alok, we'd like to welcome you to shed some light on the COVID impact and business disruption. Over to you, Mr. Alok.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to get an opportunity to talk. Thank you for inviting me. I just talk about a few customers that have, used our product and the markets that we are discussing with. So I think one of the areas that immediately needs attention is the school education. Because what's really happening is that educators are not really prepared for distance learning. They are having to work with increased loads. I've talked to so many teachers and say they're managing their own children, managing housework and managing all the education. They are working, 3 times what they were working earlier. Obviously, children are getting exposed online. The more exposure they get, young children online is also dangerous. with all the cyber issues that criminals that are attracted to children. Schools are grappling with admissions, and it's widening the equity gap in the sense that the people who don't have access, the families that are well-to-do, which have access to computers, but lots of children, especially in Indian context, are not able to get education online. I know of some people who did not have computers, and they were working on a phone and taking classes, okay, because that's all their parent could give them. And I think the learning experience for children is poor. They can't interact with their friends. So and there is no vaccine for children. So I think we need to create safe schools and move forward. Okay, I'm just going to cover just 3 or 4 sectors very quickly. Healthcare is grappling with multiple other things like risk to their staff, and but they're in the front line treating people all the time. Now, many doctors have stopped seeing patients face to face. They are seeing online, and I think that also has its issues because doctor can only make out so much. A lot of things were done on touch and feel and being close to the patient. That's gone. Lots of healthcare workers, which was well described, but those that are facing a lot of anxiety, fatigue, mental health challenges. There's a financial impact on hospitals, medical system, which is very strong. I'm sure is non-existent today, and many patients are just delaying their surgery. So we are not living in this world, which is order. Businesses obviously have a different impact. Lots of liquidity issues, worried about global recession. A lot of people have lost their jobs. Millions of people have lost their jobs across the globe. Over 120 million, to be exact. People are not spending as much, and supply chain is getting disrupted. And our individual lives are with social isolation. We talked a lot about the increased mental health issues, how to balance our professional and personal lives. Personally, I have 2 daughters, who are young adults who are just joined college, and they're missing out just being with their friends at the campus environment. Last 1.5 years, they've just been, doing all their classes, and they find it very passive and boring. And we are not able to travel. We're not able to meet our families. We're not able to invite our friends. So obviously, the impact is widespread. Okay, that is where we can use this product, build, to get everything back in. So if homes have Shycocan, we can invite a family over, or relatives over for a meal. We can help them and meet them. If it's in a restaurant, we'll feel safe from transmission. So basically, things in life can get back to normal within that environment. Now, what really happens is that we spend a lot of time at home. We spend most of the other time in office. And right now, we are not able to do, most of us are not able to do that. We are still at home. And sometimes we like to, some people like to go for, for fitness, to a gym, or go to their favorite restaurant. Now, that's where most of our daily time passes. And if we were to have Shycocan in these 4 or 5 areas of our life, okay, that means our life is largely normal. In the sense that when I'm in office, I can behave like it was before. At home, I can behave like it was before. We need some kind of a viral defense device or a viral defense device, because from SARS, MERS, COVID-19, bird flu attacks, as well as swine flu, we now know that something will be done in this area. At one time, many decades back, very few houses had locks. And then, people had to put in security cameras. In 90s, it started coming in, and now everybody has security camera. Now the issue is really, we need a new kind of a defense against the virus. I hope my slides are shifting as I go forward.
Actually, it's not.
It's not?
No, so we're currently on the healthcare slide.
Okay. Okay. Healthcare was the number 3 slide. Okay, let me just do this again. Something is wrong. I think technology is also overloaded right now. So I'll just move it like this. Now is the business slide can be repeated, seen?
Yes, it can be seen.
Okay, this is the individual live slide. This is what the slide I was talking about, that we could take it to healthcare institutions, education, large transportation hubs, social infrastructure, government, and get our lives back. And we launched a few months back, and we've been able to get many companies to try either in large quantities or small quantities. Some of the critical offices of Tata Group, which is a very respected group, one of the offices of Tech Mahindra, one of the head offices of Murugappa Group, which is very large. Adani have now taken it. Most of the chief ministers' offices, a pen company called Cello, a company called Advanced Walls, has put in 4 factories of theirs. So we now have it across higher education. The schools have not opened in India, so we have a couple of installations, but not very large. And we hope that as schools now, government knows that after 1 year that schools have to start back. We expect that. So the product is now well tested and well accepted. And we don't have a single complaint from a customer of an escalation which said that I installed it 3 months back and there was a widespread, viral attack that we had in our office or it spread in our office. Most of the customers are now looking at mid-size to large-scale deployments and looking at offices to be opened. Okay, I'll share with you one quick. We've got a lot of customer testimonials now. I'll share this testimonial for a minute, and then you can have a look on what it does.
Our government announced lockdown. In the last week of March, suddenly everything is stopped. We don't know what to do next.
What is a company? It's just a group of people trying to do something together. And ultimately, if the people are not happy and comfortable,
I just moved it forward a little bit so that you can see a quick one which we want you to see.
Just making sure we covered all the spaces where people were present, collecting together to work. After we had the devices installed, we brought the workforce together, and in the office we brought the staff together to tell them what the devices are. To assure them that this is not a camera, this is not a mic, or this is not a speaker, but it's for their health. Of course, everybody doesn't believe everything when they see it, but we've had incidents that have reinforced our decision and even made our people internalize the benefits of why we do this. A head of marketing from our office had his son test positive over the weekend for COVID-19. On Monday, he got a test done and came to the office. The test showed him negative. But 4 days later, he came positive for COVID-19. While for 4 days, he was in the office, interacting with everybody as if nothing was wrong. However, even though he got the infection from his son, he didn't spread it to anyone else that he interacted with. When we see it happen to us in our lives, we believe this. And that's why I think we have made the right decision to buy it and install it in a number of days. And I encourage all people who are already.
So, has my slide changed now?
Yes, it has.
Okay, so I'll just be in the non-slide mode. So basically, we've had multiple such cases. Some of the most used products for Shycocan where we'll be launching, I don't want to show too many videos, but it has been people actually got COVID at home. When they have COVID at home, they've brought in a device immediately. And during that time, they've been able to take care of their loved one without isolating them fully. So the loved one has been able to spend some time in the living room, eat a little bit with them. With all the precautions, they've had that there are many cases that people have vouched that there has been no transmission in our house after we switched on the meeting. We've had areas where lots of people have reported that meetings where they actually had a person who was COVID positive, who called up a few hours later, a day later, and said he tested positive. And while they spent a few hours with them, they did not get the infection. So with this level of case studies, all the virology reports that Dr. Rajah talked about, we are absolutely certain that this device works. Okay, and these case studies will surely be available on the next 4 to 5 days as we take the final approvals from our customers. Now, all this you can get done on a normal 40-watt bulb electricity consumption equivalent to that. It's a very low-cost maintenance device. It does not have any consumables. It does not, require any constant except just regular surface cleaning once in a while, and it protects 1,000 square feet of space. It's absolutely safe to everyone, and it's effective against all the corona and influenza viruses. It's very easy for you to test if this product is working. All you can take is take a CFL bulb or a normal tube light and just keep it in front of the device. It will just glow in your hand. This really shows that the product is fully working. So consumer will never, because there is product, okay? and it works silently, so you'll forget it anyway there also. So, but the consumer can always find out if it's really getting the protection. And with this, we really believe, okay, that we can go back and love our, loved ones, because that's what humans need, the social interaction and our lives back to normal. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Mr. Alok. It's nice to see how we have changed things around and brought back some levels of near normalcy. I hope everybody is still with us. Right now, we'll be waiting to hear from Dr. Ramesan. He's the director of Shycocan Global and also scaling Southeast Asia. So we'll get to know more about the device from Dr. Ramesan. And Dr. Ramesan, are you ready?
I think you're muted.
So, Dr. Ramesan, over to you.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody, wherever you all are. Right, I think Dr. Kumar and Mr. Alok would have covered most of the subject matter and whatever you all would want to know. I will just go through something very quickly and then give some information about the local approvals that we already have in hand. Basically, we'll go through something very fast because most of what is here, I think, has been covered. Now, we are looking at something like 130 million cases worldwide, out of which 2.83 million people have lost their lives. And this is a huge number. Something has to be done about this. Of course, the vaccines are coming now, and we'll look at that a little further down. Looking at the way the virus is mutating, it is quite sure that the mutation is going to be for a long time. And with this mutation, the information coming out with regards to how long the vaccine will be effective, that's another question mark. So we have a situation here where vaccines are coming out, virus is mutating, and we are not very sure how long the vaccine will be effective. So, looking at what is happening, the COVID-19 virus is now entering the phase of endemic from a pandemic, which means it will all the time be in the population and literally not go away. Now, vaccine, what it does, it helps. Like what I told you earlier, we are not sure how long it will be effective with respect to the mutation that is going on. This particular mutation, D614G, it seems it even talks about they talk about this particular virus trying to evade the immune system of the body. So we do not know how much that is true, and we wait for more information to be available about this. Now, the Malaysian government has got a target of vaccinating about 80% of the population, and we do not know exactly how long it is going to take to get this population vaccinated. From the information we are getting, a lot of people who are registered, some of them don't seem to be turning up at the specific time to get the vaccine. And the other thing is there's a lot of all sorts of information that is going around with respect to the vaccines themselves. So this is of concern to people who are receiving the vaccine. Now, the vaccine controls symptoms, but it does not prevent the disease. So if you're looking at a situation, it is a situation where we should use the vaccine with technology, and also the social distancing that have been prescribed, and then the masks which you are supposed to put on. These are basically the regulations that are brought up by the government. We cannot look at one single product or one practice like it has to be a combination. It has to be a combination of both technology and vaccine. Like what was mentioned earlier, the efficacy of the vaccine, especially when the virus is mutating, has not been actually explained, but the information is coming out that they will be effective, but do not know for how long. After X number of months or so, it probably, the efficacy will start reducing. A large percentage of the population cannot be vaccinated because they are children, pregnant women, and also the risk to elderly people with comorbidities, heart problems, drug allergies, and many people are allergic to many drugs. I'm one of them. So there is this group of patients or people where you can't vaccinate, or you have to be very careful when you vaccinate them, which means there has to be more time and money spent on monitoring this group of patients. Can we continue like this? I think if we continue, there's going to be a lot of toll on all of us. Like what was told earlier, social distancing leading to emotional distancing, excessive screen time causing physical and emotional strain, business closing down, young children studying on the screens, and these things have got their own problems. Like what Dr. Theo said earlier, the cabin fever, etc. So we need to act and see how we can sort of take care of our lives with the least stress to us. The biggest transmission of this virus is closed spaces, and that is where this particular product comes in, where it basically stops the spread of the disease within the space, so that all of us can get back to what we used to do when we were when times were more normal. Now, this particular device is the world's first virus attenuation device. Dr. Kumar has already mentioned about this and given all the details there, and backed by 10 years of research. Of course, invented by him. Efficacy is 99.9%. Indoors, entire coronavirus family, influenza family of viruses. So, what do we need? We need the vaccine plus technology, and in this case, we're looking at Shycocan. And these two things will give the safety and the psychological satisfaction that we are in a safe space. We're looking at comprehensive protection, and there are some government regulations which compel you to use face masks. Then that has to be carried out because that is a government directive. All the vaccines will boost immunity, may reduce chances of infection or reduce symptoms. Spaces will be office, gyms, shopping, schools, home, clinics, hospitals, etc., which has been covered earlier. We will go to the next slide. These are images of life getting back to normal and uplifting the morale of the people. And Shycocan in Malaysia. Basically, we have got the approval for the product from Energy Commission. Energy Commission is the institution that governs these devices, and we got no issue bringing it in. This approval was got last year itself. If you're looking at availability, it will be available first week of May. Scaling Southeast Asia, along with Shycocan Corporation, will be handling the device in this region. And basically, that is the status and approval of this particular device in Malaysia. Now, there are some questions which I was told to address. How does the machine compare with air purifiers and filters? I think if you can have a look at the slide, if you're comparing with air ionizers, basically they're airborne only. They don't have much effect on solid surfaces. Efficacy 99.9, we're not sure, some of them could be. And ionizers produce ozone, which are not that kind to human lungs. Even the best ionizers may produce some amount of ozone. And this is one of the points which is quite different from Shycocan. Shycocan does not produce any ozone, and it's totally safe for humans. All the tests have shown that. Shycocan can be used in larger spaces, 1,000 square feet, etc., and ionizers small spaces. Shycocan does not have any consumables. Basically, electricity is the only thing that you need. There's no filter. The PME does not degrade. And what will happen is the components might give some problem, like any wear and tear situation, and probably need to be replaced. Now, ultraviolet disinfection. Ultraviolet has been known to be quite a dangerous emission, and when this is used, everybody from the room has to be cleared off. The room has to be closed up, and then the light has to be switched on. And after a specific time, you switch it off, and then that would indicate that the space that was there has been disinfected, and people can move into the room and occupy the room. And it's a one-time treatment. Exposure to harm is very harmful to humans, and that's why you have to get out of the home. You can't use it in spaces where people are there for obvious reasons, and it has got no consumables. With respect to sprays, I think everybody understands what sprays are. You need to keep spraying all the time, and it is a chemical that you are spraying, which is again not the best thing to do, and can be used across any size. Basically, depends on the equipment, type of equipment that you're using, and the chemical has to be replaced all the time. So that's the basic differences. Shycocan, you install, it's a plug and play device, and that's it. You don't have any other consumables, totally safe. What is the proof that the machine works? I think Dr. Kumar has already covered this in his presentation. We have got the virology tests done at various laboratories, which gives the same results. We have got the human cell toxicity studies, which have shown that it is safe. Then we have got the safety tests done by Underwriters Laboratories, which has passed all the tests and it's certified in as a class 1 device in EU. In Australia, it is classified as a non-medical device. In New Zealand, it is a non-medical device. And in the Middle East, it has got all the approvals. So when you talk about what is the proof that the machine works, these are the tests that show that the machine works. And also, we are getting data from COVID wards in the hospital. So over, I think the next few weeks, we'll have that data, and then you can see exactly the reduction in the infectivity rates in the COVID wards. So these are the evidences which suggest, which prove, not suggest, that the product works. There is no other way to infer except to infer that it works. And if you want to see whether photons are being emitted, then you put a bulb in front of the device and the bulb lights up. So you can see the bulb lighting up, which means photons are being emitted. Then all the test results basically indicate 99.9% efficacy rate. I'm talking about the virology test. So putting all this information together, that is the evidence and the proof that the machine works. Now, this is a slide of the virology tests. I think it's pretty detailed. This is just to prove that these tests have been done by these institutions, and the results that we are getting 99.97, 99.74. Then we are getting, in some cases, viral inactivation was 100%. So you're constantly getting above 99.9% viral inactivation. So this is the proof that the device works. Now, what do you think? This has been covered before? Is the mission approval? Yes, it is approved. What are the buildings currently that being installed with Shycocan? Well, there have been some cafes and a clinic and 2 cafes that have installed this. This is basically the machines that were brought in on a test scale, and they are in this premises. The actual machines will be here early first week of May, and we have got interested parties purchasing and waiting to purchase this particular product. When the machine will be available in Malaysia first week of May. Where can we buy this machine? I think there's a telephone number, and you can contact the person on that number. Well, I think this will be what I'll have to say, and thank you.
you, Dr. Ramesan. So for everybody who is interested in this, if you have any questions, you can please raise them now in the chat box. We've had a few questions. One person has asked about slides. So slides will be sent out to those who leave their email addresses via the Google link given earlier. I'll be sending the link again. So if you fill up the form, we'll be sending you the slides. That's not an issue. If anybody is interested in knowing more and you have any questions, you can raise your questions now and we'll be more than happy to answer the questions for you. We've got all the experts here. So if there are no further questions, if anybody wishes to get more, one second. Device is to produce photon. How long this photon can last in the air? So we have one question that we understand that the device is produces photons. So how long can the photons last in the air?
Photons are short-lived in the air. It's like light particles. Basically, you just can as a light bulb. So these photons, they are continuously emitted from there, and they reflect, bounce back here and then the walls. And photons, eject electrons out of the solid matters. Even the electrons are also short-lived. Okay, but since it's a continuously operating device, so it is always there in the environment where this is put.
Sorry, the line dropped, is it?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Doctor.
Yeah. So as I was saying, it's like in a light bulb. Okay, if you take a light bulb, it is also producing photons, which are packet of energy. And these are now, as long as the light is on, usually the whole room is lit. You see? So it is also the photons are not, it's continuously produced. That is why it is lit. So it's a similar kind of example I can give you. The Shycocan is similar. So photons keep coming, electrons keep getting emitted and ejected from the solid materials. Maybe an insulator or a conductor, it emits these photoelectrons, and the area is kind of lit. Let's assume it that way. When you switch it off, it's gone.
Okay.
The device has to be kept on always, 24 hours. Because we don't know when who will come and, so it is not that we kind of sterilize the room and then switch it off. It doesn't work that way. It has to be on continuously, number one. And number two is the action of this on the viral particle is more or less instantaneous. In fact, one of the lab tests we could do faster is about 1 minute. It could, neutralize 99% in 1 minute. Okay, the lowest we could test it. But since photons travel at the speed of light, it should be instantaneous. So that is another thing. And as I already told you, it is designed for running 24/7, and it just about consumes equivalent of a 40-watt bulb or 40-watt lamp, same amount of energy. So it doesn't matter. If the device happens to be not working for any reason, then the device will start giving you an alarm saying that you are no more safe here. So the alarm is also inbuilt, and it gives an alarm when the device doesn't work. For example, if a fuse has blown, in the device. Okay, we are not going to keep looking at it all the time to see whether the indicator is working. So if the fuse has blown, it will alarm, saying there's something wrong.
Okay, got it, doctor. So if I were to just summarize correctly, the first one is that it's continuous emission of photons, and if we have a light bulb in front of it, the light bulb will light up. Number one. Number two, if the device were to turn off, there'll be an alarm that sounds, alerting people that the device is not functioning correctly.
That's true.
Okay, thank you. So we have another question, which I think I will direct to Dr. Ramisan. What about the MDA for Malaysia market? So MDA is the Medical Device Authority. Do we have approval from the MDA?
We do not need approval from the MDA because it is not a medical device, and this device is actually classified as non-medical in many parts of the world, Europe, Malaysia, Australia, New Zealand. So we do not require MDA approval.
It doesn't come under the definition of a medical device in these countries because it does not prevent any diseases. It does not prevent any diseases. Number one. Number two, it does not treat any diseases. Number three, it does not diagnose any diseases. It is only making an environment safe against a particular particle. Okay, so it doesn't come to medical. So that is why in the country, what Dr. Ramesh just mentioned, it is exempted from getting that. Even in the university, it is not, but because of COVID-19 health emergency, anything to do with pandemic has to go to the United States FDA. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, doctor.
Basically, no, not very clear, Dr. Kumar, not very clear. So I'm just repeating what you basically said. It in this particular device does not have any effect on the humans. It only prevents this COVID group of viruses from infecting the person. But in America, all these devices would need to have FDA clearance, and that is being done now. At the moment, it is going through the emergency directive for the specific pandemic. Am I right? Doctor? Did you hear me?
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, can hear you now? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, we have another question. Do we have approval from Serum Malaysia? I think this is for Dr. Ramisan.
Yeah. So this product comes under Energy Commission. Serum, you do not need approval from Serum. You need basically what if you get a sticker from Serum, and for that sticker, they have got some audit, and that audit is being organized now. But you do not require a special permission from Serum when Energy Commission has already passed it, because the underwriters laboratory, which has conducted the test, this laboratory is recognized all over the world, in most parts of the world. So when the product comes in, they may at random just take one device and do some tests. But you don't have to get special permission from Serum, because Energy Commission has passed it, and this product comes under Energy Commission.
Okay. We have two more questions. First, this one I will direct it to Mr. Alok and Dr. Kumar. Does the product have any impact on, will it be impacted by lightning strikes? Will the Shycocan be impacted by any lightning strikes?
No, it has, the Shycocan has got an input, dual line EMI filter built in already. So basically, lightning strikes sends out a surge through the electrical line, and that is what destroys, electronic devices when connected to the line, and then there is no proper protection in the device. So we in Shycocan, it already has a EMI filter, so that there is no electromagnetic interferences from the power line interferences coming into the machine is not there. At the most, if at all anything during a lightning storm, at the most so that it protects the device. So that's the thing about the effect on the lightning. Any other questions?
Yes, one more question. There's still one more question on the FDA approval. We have two questions on the FDA approval. Is the product approved by FDA? Does it have an FDA approval? Could you explain that once more?
Yeah, the device is being allowed to use in the United States under what is called enforcement discretion during the COVID-19 health emergency, because the device is very new and the typical FDA approval process, is long. And thirdly, in the normal circumstances, it does not come under the purview of FDA. It actually comes under the purview of EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. But because this has been used during the pandemic, FDA, it comes under FDA now. But since it has been already with the FDA, they have advised us to go for a full approval if the device is to be continued to be used after the pandemic. You see, so that is the reason why we have already filed papers for the the actual approval. That will take about 2 to 3 months. But this approval is only if you want to continue marketing this device post-pandemic. I think I'm clear to that.
Yes, that's great to hear that you're already in the process of getting the FDA approval. All the best to you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we are, one more question. Is there any restriction area to install this device? Example, in kitchens with gas stove, microwaves, or any storage area with flammable liquids, since this device is generating electrostatic.
First, let me correct you. This doesn't produce electrostatics.
Okay.
That is first important. You have to be clear that it doesn't produce static electricity. Okay. Number one. Number two, it does not interfere with your microwave ovens or your gas stoves or any of these things, because it is not a thermal device. It doesn't cause any thermal output. It does not radiate any kind of electromagnetic waves. So it is safe to use in kitchen. In fact, my living room and kitchen has got it for the last 2 years now. So it doesn't affect any of these. In fact, it doesn't affect any of the other medical devices. Suppose you're installing in an hospital, in a critical care unit, you have ventilators there, you have monitor that. It doesn't interfere with any of this. And that is an important criteria for the safety of the device.
Okay.
Yeah. Any more questions?
What is the RCP in India now? Mr. Alok?
What is RCP?
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that too. Mr. Adrian, would you be able to expand RCP? I think, is it recommended commercial price? Recommended retail price. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, the recommended retail price is right now at 25,000 Indian rupees in India.
Okay, thank you. For your information, for the Malaysians, the retail price is 2699 RM Ringgit Malaysia 2699. So for attendees of the webinar, we'll be giving out a code later, and you will get a nominal discount on that. We'll give you more information later. One more question. Do we have another question? Okay, so I have a question. The product is available for sale and is not restricted by any authority. Therefore, people should not be too concerned as the warranty backs it up. Is this true, Dr. Ramesan?
Yeah, we have got 1 year guarantee where we replace the product one-to-one, and we have a program where you can basically get 2, 3 or 4 years warranty on a payment of certain fees. So that is the basic structure.
Okay. Any more questions? The price is 2699, as in RM 2699. I hope that clarifies. Okay, any company in Malaysia has installed this device?
Like I told you earlier, we have brought in small number of units. We have got a sort of a clinic that is using it. Is basically a clinic stroke hospital using it. We have got 2 cafes using it, and we've got a couple of houses using it. The product will be available for the market somewhere in the first week of May, but we already have people now wanting to purchase it and looking at something more than all the meetings lined up from tomorrow onwards, and we will know what's moving forward.
Okay, we have one more question. How do you validate the device still works after 2 years?
Yes. How do you validate this? There is a typical method of doing that. See, the regulatory lifetime of the equipment is 20 years. This is determined, okay, by using reliability engineering methods, wherein we look at what is the mean time between failures of different components used, and from this we determine that effective lifetime should be so much. So the regulatory lifetime is 20 years. That's what we say. When you say regulatory lifetime, if all is well, the device should work well. And as long as you keep, if something goes wrong, you correct it. Okay, the lifetime is expected to be 30 years. And it doesn't it does not use any consumables. It doesn't need any maintenance, excepting, if it is, you just have to kind of wrong with it. You're wrong with it.
Okay. Can you go on to the next question? Shall I go on to the next question?
Yes.
So, okay. So the next question is that it appears that the retail price in India is much lower than Malaysia. Is there any explanation for that?
Oh, yes, I can give you two things to this. One is, the Indian population is 1.3 billion. Okay, so produce, okay, the cost for Indians come down. Number one, and number two, also one more thing is since it is a Indian invention, then Indian product. Okay, we as in the we are given free humanitarian agreements without royalty and so on. Okay, so that is the reason that the cost in different countries are different. In Malaysia, it is different. The US is different. Australia is different. So it's different in different countries.
One is that when we launched the product, the commodity price, everything has gone down dramatically. So there is a likelihood of a revision upwards of the Indian price. And as we see the various policies, then we'll see that the difference will not be as large, but there will be a difference because of the licensing policy that we are using for this product. But difference will be reduced, but there will continue to be a difference.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Alok, for that, and Dr. Kumar also. So I think if everybody is done with any more questions, we'll give another 1 more minute to any more questions. There have been no new questions though. So I think with that, we can bring our session to an end. Thank you very much to all our speakers who made time to spend their time with all of us to get to know this product a little bit better. Thank you very much to all the participants who attended as well and sat through the entire program. We really appreciate your time for attending this. We hope you benefited from this and you're able to know more about the Shycocan. So if you wish to get more information on the Shycocan, you can contact us at the information that's being loaded up on the screen right now. And if there's anything else we could assist you with, we'll be more than happy to do so. Thank you. And if anybody has any more questions and would like to ask me anything, you can. My name is Indra once again. Thank you. The code is on the screen as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.